Hello, everyone. This is the RFID Talks, and today we are going to talk about the RFID trends for 2024. Claire Swedberg has written an article about this just after the RFID Journal Live this year, and I think we have lots of things to talk about. And as I saw, Claire, hi, Claire. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
And
As I was reading in your article, I believe lots of things are related to retail, to AI, artificial intelligence, and also about sustainability. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I think sustainability, you hit the nail on the head, Edson. Sustainability, AI are kind of the drivers in the background behind so much of the conversations that I was having at RFID Journal Live, and that I just have on a daily basis now. It used to be I just want greater efficiency, and I can't afford to lose 100% inventory visibility. Now those words. First of all, sustainability. How am I going to improve my sustainability, meet the requirements that are coming? And then the other one, of course, being around AI. Now I can do so much more with the data. So I've got to get my system in order. So those are two major conversations and themes I'm seeing this year.
And Mark, as we were talking before, a little bit before this, we start recording, but education is something that's really a trend too, because we need to have people prepared to install and to understand technology. How do you feel that among all this subject?
yeah, I think that what I'm seeing is some of the solution providers are under pressure to find people who have RFID knowledge, and there aren't a ton of people out there that do have that knowledge. So the industry, there's no you can't study RFID in university. You can study supply chain and or some technology IT, and then take an RFID course perhaps, or join an RFID lab at some of the universities, but there's no degree in RFID. So finding these people is difficult, and it's really up to the industry itself to do the education. And I've been getting a lot more inquiries about the RFID Professional Institute, people asking about education and certification from around the world. People in Peru contact me. They can't come to live to do the training. Is there any other way to get certified? And so I have been working on some training materials that people will be able to download. We've just published them. RFID Journal just wrote about it. A study guide that explains all of the fundamental information you need in order to ask the right questions of your solution, your systems integrator, your solution provider, your tag provider, to begin to think about which technology is the right thing. A lot of people don't realize, for example, there are many different types of RFID, and they just call up and they say, I need a solution. And if you call up an HF company, they're going to give you an HF solution. If you call up an active company, they're going to give you an active RFID solution, and so on. So you really need to know what is likely to be your best bet, and then you can talk intelligently to your partner. So definitely a lot of need there, and I'm trying to relaunch the institute. It voted to shut down in 2022 after 10 years, 11 years of effort to create these certifications and launch them and have them in the marketplace. And that was because some of the founders had jobs that they no longer could devote any time to the institute. And some of the people retired. Ian Robertson, who was a driving force in the institute. He had worked for Hewlett Packard and Compaq, and worked with GS1 for a while, and then launched his own consulting company. He had done tremendous work to help build the institute. Ian retired. He moved to Vancouver, and there was a vote taken to shut down the institute. Rather than see all that effort, 10 years of effort wasted, I asked if the board was interested in transferring the assets of the institute to my control. A vote was taken. So the first vote was we're going to shut it down. The second vote is what do we do with the assets? And they decided they were going to transfer them to me. So I have been keeping it going more passively the last couple of years while I was working at RFID Journal for Emerald Expositions. But now that I'm retired from Emerald, I have some more time to dedicate, and I've been working on the study materials, and we recently revamped or updated the associate level exam. An update was necessary because things change, standards change, technology changes. For example, there was very little mention of robots or overhead readers or things that we're seeing now in the original exam. So it's been updated to include those things and to make the exam both more rational and more timely.
As I
That's
see,
a long answer.
yeah, but as I see, Mark, lots of people are trying to understand AI, and I see courses everywhere and people trying to find information and understand what's AI. But I see that RFID is something that people can earn money, a lot of money, and nobody does have an idea about how big are the opportunities. And I believe probably talking about trends, the trends Claire has just written about, and we know that the opportunities are very large. AI is inside RFID in this case, not just a trend itself, but it's a trend inside RFID. So this is very interesting. And Claire, how do you see that? The opportunities for people that are really interested in earning money and not just the companies that are end users and they will earn money using RFID, but people that are investing on understanding how RFID works and how to implement that in other companies.
Yeah, that's a really viable question that, it's amazing we're still asking that because RFID's been around a long, long time now. And I personally still have to explain it to people at a cocktail party or family reunion. They don't know what RFID is still. So demystifying it and actually having just basic information that people can access is going to be one step. It's amazing that we're not there yet, but we do need to be. And I think when you start getting AI and all the excitement around AI, eventually I believe RFID can get sucked into some of that excitement, just because it's such an enabler for AI. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting what Mark is doing, and if that gets kind of reinvigorated about, getting education out to people who don't have it. I mean, it's not out of reach. You can spend some time, get certified, and at least get the basics that you will need to bring RFID to whatever your customers' problems are, or to your company's problems. There's just such a lack of understanding about this technology that really has amazed me over the almost 2 decades that I've been writing on this subject. And the fact that it's in our cars, it's in our clothing, it's in packaging of things that we're buying and selling, it's in our pets and our Easy Pass, etc. And yet it has not become commonly understood. And that's a huge hurdle we need to get past. And I don't think it's as hard as people might think it is to get basic understanding to then begin to innovate from there, because it's really just a starting point before you start building your own solutions.
Yeah, I think that people don't know what they don't know about RFID. And for many years, I would get emails when I was the editor of RFID Journal, and people would say, I want to track my returnable transport items. Please give me the name of a systems integrator in my area. I'm in Baltimore, or I'm in London, or wherever. And I would say to them, well, I can give you the name of somebody, but you probably should kind of talk through what you want to do, think about, the technology options that are available, because if I give you a name, they're just going to give you what they want to give you. And people are like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, just, they don't want to think about it. They don't want to invest the time to understand it. And I think that's, a big part of the problem. And I would say that the flip side of that is, as an industry, we really haven't done a good job of explaining the technology and the fact that RFID is essentially a suite of technologies. People think of it as like the UPC code, the barcode. Okay, just stick that on, you're done, right? You get a scanner and you read it and you're done. There's one type of barcode, one type of scanner, everything's good. And as an industry, people who sell passive UHF technology don't necessarily want to educate you about active or HF or LF or whatever. And, active people don't want to necessarily educate you about, UHF as an option. And so there's really an absence of anyone out there other than maybe the Institute and, of course, RFID Journal explaining this stuff to people.
Yeah, I see also in packaging, especially in packaging, that there is something very interesting happening, that barcodes are giving place to QR codes. So we see that the 2D codes are getting the barcode space, and it can have the same information or the same database used by RFID or created by RFID. So you can let people with a common cell phone read information that is created by the RFID in all the supply chain. So this is.
Well, I would just want to correct one thing. The barcode can have the same serial number, not the same information.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So an RFID tag can have, 8 kilobits of stored data, which obviously a QR code can have. But yeah, GS1 is going to transition to 2D barcodes. And so we're going to have serialized data on everything. And that could be good for RFID, and in a way it could be bad for RFID. I could see people saying, okay, well, we're making this transition in our IT systems to serial numbers, unique serial numbers for every item. So let's put RFID tags on with a printed 2D barcode on the label, and the same information will be available to the barcode scanner or the RFID scanner. On the other hand, I could also see companies saying, well, we don't need RFID now. We can serialize with barcodes. Let's just do the cheaper thing and use barcodes.
No way.
Well, that again, one of the myths, and it's something I plan to write about again. I've written about it numerous times. People think barcodes and RFID. Barcodes are cheaper than RFID, and it's simply not true. The data carrier is cheaper, but getting the information off of the data carrier, which is the only thing that really matters, is not cheaper. So, I've seen some estimates of 7 cents to hire a person to scan a barcode, 7 cents per barcode. And, an RFID tag can cost 5 cents and can be read by no one, no person. So, it could wind up being, the same or even a little bit cheaper than barcodes. But as an industry, who's out there, promoting this? RFID Journal has, done, I'd say 98, 99% of the education and the evangelizing for RFID over the past 22, 23 years. But there's not a lot else out there. GS1's not out there, saying very much about RFID, and AIM does what it can, and the RAIN Alliance does what it can, but there's not a lot of money being spent out there to educate people.
Yeah, Claire. Yeah, just to add something, GS1 is calling QR codes by GS1 now. They are not going to use the name data matrix anymore. Claire?
QR codes are a specific thing, though, I believe. Isn't that, maybe it's not a copyrighted term?
Yeah, I think there's a distinction between a 2D barcode and QR code versus.
Yeah, not all 2D barcodes are QR codes, and not QR. All QR codes are 2D, but
right.
One
category within 2D.
There's a whole bunch of different schema available. I thought GS1 was coming up with their own schema. I think QR codes were developed by the Japanese.
Yeah, it was created by Toyota in 1986, something like that.
Yeah,
but has developed a lot during these years. And
yeah, I think, yeah, one of the things, Mark makes two good points, that, the 2D barcodes can be both a benefit or potentially obstructionist for RFID. But what it will do is, just like a lot of transitions that have happened with, Bluetooth and certainly NFC with payments, Apple payments and things, is that it gets the technology closer to the consumer. So if I'm starting to want to learn information about my products with that 2D barcode, and suddenly I can gather RFID data along with that information from the supply chain, from the manufacturer, that's not something you could easily do without the RFID tag in there. And people become, I don't know how much people need to be aware of where is this coming from? Is this all this information? Is this just magically appearing because of this 2D barcode, or, what's driving that? But RFID is obviously an enabler, and I can't see that not being more of interest to a lot of companies that start making that evolution. If you want to really sell your product and its sustainability, responsible manufacturing, especially, smart agriculture and all the things that you want to brag about your product, RFID provides you a vehicle to do that, whereas I don't think a 2D barcode can accomplish anything remotely like that.
RFID can be read inside the boxes. This is very important to understand. And when you have to read, even transferring the information from barcodes to QR codes, you have to have a viewpoint. So
I have a scanner and type it.
Yeah, line of sight. Yeah, but I think Claire makes a good point that you may have written to an RFID tag that this pieces of equipment or consumer electronics has a lithium battery built into it. And when you read that barcode, when you read the RFID tag, you say, oh, we can't just toss this in the landfill. We should try to extract the lithium battery and recycle it. So that's not going to be done with a QR code. Not today, not ever. So, you can do that with an RFID tag. You can put information into the tag about, what needs to be done with this thing, or more information about this thing, or even who made this thing. Because in Europe, if you make an appliance, you're responsible for the recycling of that appliance. That's a law, and we don't have that here in the United States, but we may eventually. So if somebody doesn't know who made something, then they can't be responsible. So assigning ownership or custody of that could be an important part. that helps RFID. But going back to what Claire brought up at the very beginning, sustainability being a trend, and I think that there's two elements going on. One is that governments around the world, and we're even seeing it here in the United States, where we're a little bit less environmentally focused. Governments are putting pressure on companies to be more sustainable, to recycle more, especially metals and things. And then number two, for marketing purposes, being a sustainable company is important. People want to buy. People, including myself, I will go to a website to find out whether the fish at Costco is sustainably harvested or not. So where you shop and what you buy now is influenced, at least with some people, by how sustainable your operations are as a company. So RFID is definitely going to have a role to play in making sure that companies are being sustainable and environmentally responsible.
Like the DPP in Europe, the digital product passport is something that is related to the government. So legislation is something that's going to drive more and more RFID implementations. And Claire, what did you find about I read something about retail on that. Is that true that retail is the first point to start with DPP, or why is a trend to RFID the investments on retail?
Do you mean what do you mean by that? Like the DPP focuses on very specific products, and when it comes to sustainability, they've listed certain products that they want to start tracking from birth to all the way to the recycling point. And obviously the retailers are part of that process. So that's, the pressure's on them, not to mention the manufacturers. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I was thinking about the manufacturers being more important at this time to start DPP, but why retail is so important now?
Yeah, well, I think it's like kind of similar to what Mark was saying, that the retailers they're the ones that are kind of closest to the consumer, and a lot of this pressure is coming from consumers. There's legislation, and then there's consumer demand. And don't ever underestimate the power of your average consumer, because they're the ones that are making decisions really that it's going to ultimately affect retail and manufacturing. Because if they absolutely demand that I want to know where my fish comes from, I'm not going to buy this fish if I discover it was not harvested sustainably, then that ultimately is going to have a huge impact, and retailers are the ones that see it first. So they're driving it in part for that very reason.
Yeah, Avery Dennison has a study saying that 60% of the consumers are very interested in knowing about the sustainability of products before taking a decision of buying. So this is something that comes from the pandemic to now, and this is very interesting. And Mark?
Yeah, I would also say that the people who are most interested in this tend to be younger people. It's their world; they're going to inherit it from their parents, and they're very interested in it. And those are important consumers. The older you get, you tend to spend less. You've already bought a lot of things, and you're not necessarily as important to the retailers. So this demographic is one that they need to appeal to, and I think that being environmentally responsible is a way of doing that.
Great, guys. And do you want to add something, because we have just 3 minutes to end our time of recording?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. What's on your mind?
I would just say that it's an interesting time for the RFID industry. It always comes out that there's a new technology that kind of takes takes away the thunder of RFID. It was IoT, and before that it was other things, and now it's AI. But the industry is growing pretty rapidly. Deployments are happening all over the place, as Claire writes about regularly. And I think that the industry needs to kind of invest in some of the support mechanisms that are going to allow the industry to continue to grow. So education is definitely one of those things, and not just the kind of education the Institute does, but also the kind of education of, hey, RFID plays a role in sustainability. If consumers are starting to see RFID as a positive thing because it's helping to it's helping the environment, then that's a very good thing for the RFID industry.
Claire?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to just add to not only the professional institute that Mark is speaking about, and it's a great way to get started and learn the basics, get certified. You're off and running from that point. And I think networking amongst the RFID experts is, I'd like to see more of it. I think if you have a community that you can talk to on a subject that the general populace is still not talking about, it will move innovation forward quite a bit. So I would like to see more sharing of experiences, and I'm not sure the platform for that. If we really have, we've got a few options in place, but I'd like to see more of it. And that's going to be part of the whole education process, I think. So,
well, if I could just build on that, because I agree with you totally. And we used to do a forum for the universities to come together, and then IEEE came in and partnered with RFID Journal Live for many years. I'm not involved with RFID Journal Live anymore, so I'm saying this as an outsider, but I think that that's an important forum, and it's disappointing to me to see that the main players in the RFID industry are not doing more to support the show and to support RFID Journal, because it is important for people to come together. That's a place where experts can be networking, where people can get to know each other. And it used to happen, there's a lot of connectivity between the academics that happened at RFID Journal Live, and it facilitated research, it's facilitated partnerships on projects between those guys. That's kind of all fallen by the wayside in the last few years, and I think to the detriment of the industry. I would love to see that come back together.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Mark is saying about the need for the industry to really band together when it comes to building a community that people have access to, they can share knowledge. And I do think that some of that is still happening, but so often it happens behind the scenes, and they're not sharing that with the outer world. So you can go to a conference like RFID Journal Live, and it's a great place to network. But if you're not doing it in a public way in which the outer world can get involved, it's still not very helpful to the community at large.
Yeah, it's very sad that most companies, the most important companies, are not sponsoring the event anymore. This is kind of strange, and something that it's not we see what is happening in the world in investments in the technology, and companies should be more proactive in trying to appear to the public. So I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's all about, like we've been discussing today, it's all about education, and we don't need any kind of format to explain electricity to people, or even Bluetooth for that matter, because it's become so ubiquitous. But as long as people don't fully understand RFID and it becomes increasingly important and relevant to our world, there's got to be access to information, and that's an education drive that we need to continue to emphasize.
Yeah, some companies are doing their own way, their own events, and I don't believe this is enough. And
Well, I think some of the companies feel like, they've invested a lot of money in RFID over the years. And now they're starting to make money and they want to kind of recoup their investments. And so, they're focused on that. And so cutting out some marketing dollars, they see as a way of recouping their investment. I think, every company has to make their own business decisions, but, if we believe in the industry, we should keep marketing into the industry to grow the industry, keep doing the education, and that that means supporting RFID Journal Live. It means going to other events and speaking and doing education and being, as Claire said, being involved in a public way so that people can join that effort and learn. If things happen in private, if you meet with a retailer at NRF and you educate them about RFID, that's great. But that's just one retailer. What about the other millions of retailers that know nothing about RFID? So, that's what I think that's what we're all thinking about here.
That's a bad trend.
It's a bad trend. Well, I think that as the industry grows, there may be more support for more events and more education, but it's kind of a chicken and egg. The industry has been growing, and I think the big players sales have been good, and maybe at some point they start to say, well, this is really growing. Let's market into it and keep that momentum going, rather than just kind of sitting back and accepting that we'll just take a little bit of profit here and there.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I think this is all for today, and I hope to see you soon. And then we are going to talk more about education more deeply on that. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So see you guys next time.
Yeah, have a wonderful weekend.
All right, take care.
Yep.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.